Hello and welcome to Promenade Culture Center. This is Culture Corner. We bring you the authentic stories of creative individuals. We haven't seen you in a while. It's wonderful to be back, and it is great to wish a warm welcome to the owner of Dar.nur.art, Noor Al Zabin. Noor, very warm welcome to
Thank you. Thank you for
our little
having me.
podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank
It
you.
is very interesting, and I think somehow it's a sign from universe that you're here today because we are going through difficult and dire circumstances in the region at the moment, and we're talking to someone who handles art as daily life. And art is always resistance and
Mhm.
always something that we cannot leave on the side when times are difficult. And I believe it's a sign you're here today. Uh, I would like us to go directly into the story of art and how you find yourself,
Mhm.
found yourself in that field.
Um, it was funny because, sometimes you gravitate towards things, obviously things that you love and
Mm.
things that make a difference in your life. And I had started Dar.nur, if you're familiar with, back in
Mm-hmm.
2006. And it was a concept store at the time, but there was always an element of art, and it was based on a friendship. So the beginning of the whole thing is my relationship or friendship with Ghad al-Kandari, the Kuwaiti
Mm.
artist. And it was within the umbrella of Dar.nur.
Mm.
Years and years later, the friendship develops, the business relationship develops. And I thought, why not split Dar.nur into the home,
Mm-hmm.
which is the original concept, and the art as an art gallery, because there was an appetite for that. And I wanted to focus a little bit more on gaining more artists to represent and work with and
Mm.
promote. Um, so it felt like a natural next step
Mm-hmm.
from setting up Dar.nur. And again, based on friendship and relationships that I've had with many of the artists that I work with at the
It's
moment.
incredible how friendships support us so in such grand decisions.
Hmm.
Um, Growing up, was this something that was close to you? Visiting art shows, creating art. You
Um,
didn't study art initially,
I did
right?
not study art at all.
Mm.
I feel like I've always had a tendency to be attracted to the creative
Mm.
aspect of things, not necessarily just art, but design, interior design, um, forms of expression. I think I find it very liberating and very important for people to not forget that, because that's
Mm.
what makes us who we are. I think the essence of a person is how you think and how you translate that into something tangible, or music, writing, all forms of art, really. I loved reading. I still do. Studying was a very, basic
Mm.
business management,
Hmm.
which is at the time was one of the 3, 4 options that were
But that must be very helpful
expected.
now, handling
It
your own
is, it
business. Yes.
is. And it's based on that, really,
Mm.
because what I do is the creative part is the selection, and the selection process in setting up the exhibitions and pop ups that we do. But really, the essence of it is managing uh, the artists,
Mm.
managing payments and client relations and things that I guess would, you know, I needed the background of business to manage. So it did work in a way where
Mm.
it's really the ideal setup for me, I think, where I could use my background and what I really love.
When you look back at that educational path, you said there were a few things to choose from at the time, or expected things to
Yes,
choose from.
exactly. Yes.
Um, do you think that there are things we could introduce differently to that education moment where children would be more exposed to work with arts or, visit art shows or just create more?
I feel like giving children the space
Mm.
to be themselves, to really discover what they like. It might
Mm.
not be artistic. They might want to do something scientific. I think not limiting
Mm.
their thinking or having expectations, or even worse, wanting them to have your life and carry on with your dreams. It's completely unfair. And I feel like that would limit
Mm.
them in finding the thing that they love doing the
True.
most. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be art or creative, but having the freedom, because that's what art is about, having the freedom to express yourself and be who you truly are without within limits.
Mm.
If you think about, sense of responsibility when you grow up and all of that, but for someone to find a work or a career in something that they truly love and are, it's a blessing.
Yeah,
It's
true. And a freedom of choice. What a beautiful
absolutely,
thing.
absolutely, yeah.
Um, Having business and finances on one side, it's like one side of the brain works in that area. The other side is artistic. You do it for a long time, and it works for you. How do you combine the two? Do you feel that there are days where you're more in a business mode or days where you're more
Yeah,
in artistic
absolutely.
mode?
I think so. The trick is to try to be organized
Mm,
in trying to manage things. I mean, with the creative aspect, I feel like I have less power
mm,
to tone it down, because if I am inspired by someone's work and I really want to work with that person, I will, it doesn't matter what time of day it is or if it's a weekend. It's something that I feel like is on my mind all the time.
mm.
With, of course, the business stuff, you need to be awake and alert and on it.
Yes, yes,
So
all the
setting
time.
up times to do all the, I don't want to say boring, but the logistical part
The
of the
mundane
business.
things, yes.
Yes, the mundane things of running it, just to be organized to get that done. But the creative takes over, really. The creative part
Mm.
of it is something that, you sometimes I get my best dreams, best ideas in my dreams. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, that's exactly how this should be displayed, or that's exactly how this should be presented.
Mm.
So it takes over in the best possible way.
Yeah. And I love that you said that because I wanted to ask about art as an inevitable part of our lives, professional and private. Is it something we've had artists here on the show who mm, advocate for all of us to give a go at the arts in any way, to try to find that creative side, to journal, to write down thoughts from dreams, when once they wake up and so on. Um, do you see this in your life as well? That being creative, if not daily, it shouldn't be a task, but helps how you work when you say the creative part takes over. Do you feel
Yes.
that it's important for you to be able, for instance, now in this past couple of weeks when a lot of things were closed down or minimized their activities, we really ached for the ability to go and socialize, in artistic places as well and
Mhm.
visit art and so on. How much really is it necessary for us to live our fulfilled lives?
I think it's very essential and not given enough attention,
Mm,
in a sense that it's a journey of self-discovery as well. When you think about, as an artist, not that I am one,
mm,
or maybe we all are, I don't know, but I don't have an outlet
mm.
in terms of painting
Yeah.
or writing, or composing music, or whatever form
Yes.
it is. But I feel like if someone can, as you mentioned, journaling, that's a simple thing,
Mm.
but really to be honest with the self, it's almost therapeutic. It's
Yeah.
almost like taking care of the self, because how do we develop if we don't face ourselves, the good, the bad, the ugly,
Mm.
and really get it out there, not necessarily for an audience.
Mm.
Start with the self, just being true to oneself, being honest, thinking about our thought process, putting it down on paper, putting it down on canvas, putting it down in in
Mm.
an instrument, any form of getting it out, because things that pent up are
Mm.
not very good for anyone.
True.
And I feel like we need to, expression is very important. It makes us better people, and it makes us better parents, and it makes us better partners.
Yes. True.
Um, and I think that not being scared to be vulnerable
Mm.
and a bit
I
exposed is
Yes.
important as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think you put it beautifully. Um, I want us to just skip back to you've mentioned in 2006
Mhm.
you've started the idea, and we know that Dar.nur was a physical place. Just prior to taping, I learned something because I said to you that Dar.nur is one of the first places I visited in Kuwait when I came in 2015. But there was a spot before that where I first saw it in
Hmm.
Lilly Center.
Hmm.
Um, when you first entered something that's a physical space of your idea,
Hmm.
how did it resonate with you? And who were the people who started coming?
Um, it was almost like, how do I explain it? It was wonderful to see
Mm,
because it was based on, rather than a rigid business model, it was surrounding myself with the things that I personally loved.
mm,
The process of sourcing the products that we offered was very personal, to the point where, it wasn't heartbreaking if something doesn't sell because it'll eventually end up in my home. And
mhm,
that was the premise. As silly as it might sound, that was the
mm,
premise. And I feel like a lot of people really appreciated little things like, because they're uh, selected
mm,
personally or selected very
yeah.
carefully. Things like stationery, custom made. I used to make a few home accessories,
Mm,
home scents. At the time, I feel like there weren't that many concept stores in
mhm,
Kuwait. So it's a destination if you have, if you're looking for a gift or if you're looking for something for the home, you walk in and just have a look around, see something that you might find attractive as well. So I feel like it was wonderful, really meeting the people that came to visit.
it
Um,
felt like a safe haven.
I've heard the word
Yeah.
haven from so many people, and it
Yeah.
really brings me joy
Yes.
that I got the chance to offer that to my clients.
So many of the gifts I bought came from that place, and a lot of things are still in my home
Hmm.
as well. How did you have to travel to choose? How was it at that time? We are now talking at a span of 20 years. At the
Yes.
time, yes,
Yeah.
it's I have to mention that because
Yes.
that's quite a
It's a long
time.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
And later on, I'd like us to speak about how do you stay alive in a field as difficult as art.
Hmm.
But for the time being, I wanted to just ask you, how did you come across things? How did you choose what you are bringing as an offer to your audiences?
At the beginning, it was exactly that. It was
Mm,
travel.
mm,
At the time, I was single. I didn't have the commitments of being
yeah.
a mum, so it was easier to travel. And I collected things in my travels.
Mm,
If I had met, for example, my trips to India were always very inspiring.
mm,
Meeting the artisans that work on certain things and keeping a relationship with them before the business idea came about. So when I had to make a decision of whether I wanted to continue my career in the financial world
mm.
or set up my own thing. It was basically opening a box of cards and contacts that I have
Yeah,
collected
yeah.
for years because that was something that I loved. And then getting in touch and getting things done, sometimes exclusively for us, sometimes, things that are handmade, tangible, not mass produced, really unique. And so it came about at the beginning from travel,
Mm.
and then, human connection. So one door opens another, and um, if that's something that I am looking at as a person, anyways, the business was an extension of myself.
Um, Now that your business is fully online, so to speak, at least
Yes.
the physical shop is not in place anymore. This transition, how did you find it? Was it a difficult decision for you?
Yes, it was a
Mm,
bit difficult because it was necessary, I think. Before we started this interview,
yeah,
we were talking about the physical space,
yeah.
and that I had closed it luckily just before COVID hit.
Mm,
And it was because I've realized that there was demand for the online, quicker access to
yeah.
things, delivery services. There wasn't as much footfall,
Mm,
which is something that I really missed. I
yes, of
do miss
course.
having a physical space. But given the circumstances, given the fact that rents are incredibly high at the
Mm,
moment, to open up a gallery space, which
yeah.
would have to be, walls all around to be able to exhibit
Yes.
things, I thought, why not modernize, go with the time, don't necessarily love it, because I feel like there's nothing as important as having a connection with a product or a piece of art face to face, using your senses to smell, to touch, to experience that. But it was necessary, and it does have its advantages.
Mm. And how do you keep that connection to a person, to a customer, to an audience, uh,
I
now
think the
that it is
main thing,
online?
yes, the main thing is our annual exhibitions.
Mm.
So November is a favorite month for a lot of people. I think
Mm.
it's when the weather changes and you feel like people are out and about and they're excited to see new things. We have a 3-day exhibition, and it has been in Sadu House the last 3 years.
Mm.
And have the art out. It's a different collection every year.
Mm.
We get to meet the clients, see the art. People come and have a look, purchase,
Mm.
plan ahead. So that's one outlet that we have. We also are trying to do a little bit more pop-ups throughout the
Mm-hmm.
year, where the things can be exhibited, the pieces that we have on offer. Ideally, I would like it to be 2 exhibitions a year, but
Mm.
maybe that's something that we are looking into for the future.
From personal experience, I know how engaging and challenging an exhibition can be.
Mhm.
Sado House is an absolutely gorgeous space,
Yeah,
and I fully understand why you choose it. And it transforms beautifully into
yeah.
anything you like. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about the process of exhibiting annually, and what kind of information, useful information, besides meeting clients, it brings back? Because I'd also like you to speak a little bit about how you make choices of what kind of art you're representing, how you're
Mhm.
finding artists, but like if it can be like a mix of things,
Um,
of the space and how it goes and how it is organized, and also on your choices of what you're exhibiting.
mhm. So the choices of what I'm exhibiting really stems from the choices of the work that we have listed online
Mm-hmm.
anyways. And it's the same premise that we had for Dar.nur in 2006, which
Mm-hmm.
is choosing things that I have a personal connection with. Number one is working with people that I personally know. And the ones that I don't know are people that I was interested in their art and looked into building a relationship with the different artists. So it's really based on a unique personal eye to things. I don't necessarily follow um, um, a genre or
Yes.
a location,
Mm.
or uh, it's not female based or Middle Eastern based or
Yes.
anything like that. It's expression. You
Mm.
express. If it does resonate for me, then that's what I have to offer, and hopefully that translates into something that someone else would appreciate. The annual exhibitions, I try to have them different every time in terms of the selection of artists. Of course, there are artists that we work with regularly. Ghada
Mm.
Al-Kandari, because we represent, she will always have a spot in
Mm.
our gallery. Laura Bushnaq, as well as a Palestinian photographer, photojournalist, that we exhibit and work with every year. Recently, Rania Abul Hassan has been added to our regular ones, and she's been very generous enough to produce exclusive collections for every exhibition that we've had. The rest are, again, the joy that I have throughout the year of selecting and meeting different artists materializes into exhibiting in November. So that's how it comes about, really.
And I'm sure it takes a while to prepare it, probably months of
Yes,
preparation.
it's a whole year
Yes, yes,
of
of course.
little things falling into place.
Of course, as soon as you finish one,
Yes.
preparation starts for another one. Um, you, as you mentioned, represent some of the renowned artists and of art that is not artisanal or like craft.
Mhm.
Um, do you still, and of this I'm not sure why I'm asking, do you still also represent artisans, given that in the shop you had
Uh-huh.
a lot of different products? And how is it easy to find clientele, so to speak, for any type of art product that can be found within your within
Um,
Dar.nur.art?
I do have the regular clients that come back for
Mm.
similar things. I feel like we are still at the beginning to a certain extent in terms of uh, being out there and getting people to know that we exist,
Mm.
because being online can be confusing for a lot of people. The idea of having the gallery online is not the same as, oh, we passed by that place and saw this thing.
Mm.
So the word of mouth exposure, that takes a little bit longer for
Yeah.
it being online. And I feel like there isn't really one specific type of clientele. You have,
Mm-hmm.
couples that have new homes that want to decorate.
Yeah.
You have collectors that I've been working with for decades that keep coming back for to expand their collections. Um, and with every new artist that we sign up, they kind of bring in their own clientele.
Mm.
So it's really just offering, because if you had a chance to look at the
Mm.
website, there isn't one theme that goes across. They're very different. You've got photographs and things on canvas and calligraphy, and we try to offer our clients that variety to choose from.
Um, you've mentioned meeting different artists during the year and some of it resulting in some collaborations and signings with the artists. How do you follow? What is your way of following artistic scene in Kuwait? Do you have a way, or does it somehow come simply naturally
No,
through
it does
through the?
come simply
Mm.
naturally, and it's mainly online now. With social media, is just it's such a huge reality that you probably wouldn't see it going out in Kuwait. There aren't that many galleries
Galleries and
left
yeah,
that are offering, opening nights and exhibitions that run. I mean, I could count them in probably one hand, the
yeah.
amount of, which is a shame, because I feel like we do need more of that to be out. We need more things to be seen. And it's not necessarily just to sell and make commissions. It's nothing about that. It's exposure. It's having the public be exposed to different forms of expression and realizing the importance of that, and just being surrounded by beauty in some way. Um, so I would love to have more of an opportunity of going to different places,
Mm.
and I wish I could offer that as well, from the other side. But um, it's, yeah, I think social media is
Yes,
unfortunately
it's an
is.
easy outlet to learn, obviously, about things, and like you said, perhaps the easiest place to exist for a lot of people who are not ready or don't have the actual space. Um, I think I'm also interested in in when you look, since you've been in the field for a long time.
Mhm.
Has this changed? Was it easier before? Were there more places to visit, more galleries, or do you feel there a change happened? Not necessarily for the worse, but simply did it happen and people kind of migrated online mostly?
Um,
Or
I
is
would
it
think,
unfortunately also, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
no
Is it
problem.
also maybe the fact that we've kind of also given up a little bit on this kind of field as artists?
I'm not sure if it's giving up. I think
Mm.
one huge thing I feel like is the cost of running a business like a gallery.
Mm.
Um, so what was different before is that you had, and I think it continues, you have things popping up every now and again.
Yes.
It's whether you can last for a
Mm.
long time as a gallery. One of the reasons why we switched to online, because that is the base. And then
Yeah.
it's just having a different approach of managing a business like a gallery without overcharging, and you know it just feels unfair to
Mm.
everyone involved for the operating expenses to run the
Yes.
show rather than
Oh, absolutely.
than and it would be nice if we had spaces offered for galleries and artists to exhibit their works without the financial burden.
I think Kuwait has a lot of spaces that could be easily revitalized
Yes.
into these kind of spaces with like special prices and special fees and
Yes.
so on, and how perhaps this is something we could jointly advocate for.
Hmm.
When you think of heritage and local arts,
Hmm.
what comes to mind? What is something that you specifically like and love about Kuwait? Not necessarily something you represent in your
Yeah.
own gallery, but we like to revisit, especially in times like these, times of adversity, to speak about the local
Uh-huh.
richness.
Yes,
What
I
is
think it's
intrinsically Kuwaiti to you?
um, Sadu,
Mm,
music, the
mm,
instruments that are very specific to the region. It's really preserving history in a way. Uh, the simple artisanal things, going back to using your hands to produce things.
mm. I think it's
Um,
beautiful. Sadu is finally recognized everywhere by receiving this. Well, one of the, it's not the most important thing, obviously, but UNESCO recognition, I think, helped share the news around the world about the importance.
yeah, and I feel that the younger generations do have an appetite
Mm,
to go back and join these workshops and
yes.
dedicate some time.
I think we've managed to see the revival of handwork
Yes,
and
absolutely,
the appreciation.
absolutely.
And even though I grew up in family of engineers and doctors, I really like to say that not all of us have to be engineers and
Yes,
doctors. It's
yeah.
really important that these artisans exist. Um, if I can speak of an art market in Kuwait, does it have a form or rules? How do you see it as a very serious player in what we would also call an art market? Who are people similar to you? Not necessarily to name them, but like, are there people similar to you and what you are doing? What is art market in Kuwait?
Um, I think it's the galleries that do exist at this
Mm,
point in time are very different.
mm-hmm.
Um, Again, without mentioning names, but
Yeah.
uh, I feel like the way I've set up Dar.nur.art is
Mm,
a bit more niche in a sense that it has a point of view of a person.
mm,
It's not looking into following trends
mm-hmm.
or working with what the market is looking for. It's a very, very personal business. And the fact that it's online makes it easier for me to manage without, again, the burden of having to tick certain
Obviously.
milestones or uh, targets. And I want to keep it that way. I feel like this does offer the right client who
Mm.
does have the same point of view, something very special.
I think it's remarkable how you're persevering in that idea. It's
Hmm.
very easy, I think, to be misguided
Hmm.
with genres and trends and
Yes,
expectations,
yes.
and to just stay so strong in that is really remarkable. Um, so the what keeps the momentum going at this moment? Let's speak only about the gallery
Hmm.
you run and the offer you have. What are some of the favorite um, types of art at the moment, if not artists themselves?
For myself,
Yes.
um, I I'm not shy of color. I
Mm,
do like the use of color. Think it's bold and very expressive, and that does really attract me. Um, the cross between childishness
mm-hmm,
and brutality, maybe
mm-hmm,
a little bit of violence. I
mm-hmm,
think having those together is very attractive to me,
mm-hmm,
because I feel like it does show vulnerability and it
mm-hmm.
shows the artist's openness to experience or express things that might not necessarily be very comfortable. And I have a lot of respect for that. I don't think a lot of people give it enough appreciation. And that's something that is, for me, that does attract me because I admire that trait in a person, to be open, to be,
The boldness of that, yes.
yes, and to be sensitive and vulnerable and putting yourself out there. It's very courageous, I think.
Oh, yes, especially today. Your artists, you represent internationally as well, not just local artists, right?
I work with
International
international
artists you work
artists,
with, but
yes.
they are represented by you locally, right? Here, people can
Yes,
buy international art.
yes.
Um, do your artists ever meet?
Each other?
Yes.
Some of them do.
Mm.
Yes, some of them are friends.
Mm-hmm.
And some clients meet the artist and become friends with the
Mm-hmm.
artist. It's a kind of a community in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
but there are many artists that I haven't met myself,
Mm-hmm. That you
um,
work with.
that I work with,
Mm-hmm.
and have been working with now for years, and
Mm-hmm.
we maintain a very good relationship. So at some point, it would be nice to have a face-to-face
I
meet,
think
but
so. I used to work in publishing, and then you represent a lot of authors,
mhm,
and you don't meet them for years and
mhm,
years on, and you feel like you know them
mhm,
because of this
yes,
closeness of and sharing their work with others.
mhm,
But meeting face to face must be a really a next category
yes,
after
absolutely.
such a great collaboration. Um, You've already spoken about the differences and some difficulties of running an online business compared to also having a physical space. Do you feel this is something that will stay as is for you unless something changes?
For the time being, I
Yeah.
think
Now
yes,
it's
it
been
will.
8 years at least, right? That you are seven,
Just
8 years.
2019, I
Hmm.
started, so 7 years,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
7 years.
yes.
I think for now I'm very comfortable for with where we are,
Hmm.
but I do wish to be a bit more present physically.
Hmm.
Again, as I mentioned earlier, with pop-ups and maybe an extra um, exhibition a year, and maybe a step outside of Kuwait, international
Hmm.
presence as well, at a small scale, and maybe grow from there. It's all things that are, in the making, thinking about the next steps. But for the gallery itself, I think the base is online for the
Online.
time being, unless something changes.
How do you find you've spoken of it already and some of your personal choices? Generally, how do you find inspiration? What inspires you? What motivates you to go further? And I think this is, even though it's not an easy and it's a very wide or not even vast question,
Hmm.
um, but I feel from what our audiences say, it's something that really resonates with them. To
Hmm.
hear from someone who has been for a long time
Hmm.
championing arts
Hmm.
still stays inspired and motivated. What is it?
I think it's the love for what I do, to be
Mm,
honest. I really do feel blessed to be doing something that
mm,
I love. And I feel that that gives me the artists that I work with, the art that I have, I feel needs to be seen. So it's that in itself is a push for me to think about different ways of making that happen.
you have a role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just, it would be a shame to have everything, behind a screen somewhere and not be, because it's different. You can't, it's not the same, right? To see a photo of something, than have it in front of you. The effect on a viewer is very different. So because I really do love the things
Mm.
that I work with, I feel like I should share that with the.
How does your work with an artist, any given artist you're working with, does it have stages? How does it develop? Not just in terms of technical sense. You
Mhm.
find an artist whose work you appreciate, and you sign the artist, and you start doing shows and so on, or selling art. Do you advise artists? How does that relationship look like?
Sometimes we do,
Mm,
in cases where, uh, let's say we have a collection of art and some of it sells, then
mm-hmm,
we know what the clients are looking for. Um, I try not to limit the artist in terms of what they do. We have a conversation. And then we look back at what has sold and what has not, because
mm-hmm,
the ultimate goal, maybe for an artist, is to sell their work, and that gives them an opportunity to work on more and sell more and continue the creative process. I don't like to impose
mm-hmm,
any of my personal preferences on them, because the selection has been done. Love the work, go with it. Let me
mm-hmm,
do my thing, and you do the creative part.
mm-hmm,
Yes, there is a dialogue, there is a conversation in terms of let's think about why these sold more than these. What can we do about it? But in no way am I trying to limit the artists doing what they want to do. Um, so yeah, I think
This
that's
is how, yes, it develops. Do you feel that there is there are certain things, certain criteria that could be more helpful to just support the whole gallery business, artistic business in Kuwait? Um, Besides the education that we already spoke of, which
mhm.
kind of creates a cultural consumer from early age,
Yes.
let's say more framework from the government in terms of, how to support this field, companies perhaps creating collections,
Mhm.
supporting artists buying art,
Mhm.
not just opting for sports or other activities. How do
Right.
you feel about that
I
from
feel
your perspective?
private companies do have an appetite for uh, promoting the arts. I think the side that might be lacking is, as we mentioned earlier, having spaces available
Hmm.
for galleries
Yeah.
to exhibit, for artists to show their work, and spaces for them to work as well,
Yes.
where you don't have to think about whether you can afford it or not.
Mm.
And the focus should be on producing, on creating. So I think having more spaces and more spaces within public areas for people to enjoy the work. It would be like a community service. That would be
Hmm.
wonderful to have the art exhibited in high density areas where people can just enjoy the art. You see that all across Europe when you're walking down the street and you have the art exhibited for a certain period of time
Mm.
or whatnot. Um, and people do enjoy that. And it's, again, not just about going to purchase the art. It shouldn't be an exclusive thing for people that can afford it or have
Mm.
the appetite for it or even need it, but really just to enjoy and look, because I
Mm.
feel like that would enrich our
Oh, yes.
daily lives in so many ways.
Yes, it changes perspectives as well,
Hmm.
softens us a little
Yes,
bit.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yes.
Um, you've mentioned some of the plans that you have ideas for the future of Dar.nur.art. Um, what are some immediate plans? Hopefully, we also see some normalcy in the coming days, obviously, so we can all sigh some relief and for our own lives in the Gulf and as well continue with our practices. What would be some immediate plans or plans for this year? Where could new audiences find you?
Um, well, the next one I have to always mention the exhibition in November. That's really the anchor of everything that we do. We have been working with a strategist as well to
Hmm.
see other ways of doing it. And we do want to have a bit more presence in public spaces.
Hmm.
So that's something that is in the works. Maybe not for the now. Again,
Yeah.
we need to go back
Yes.
to some sense of
Feeling safe first and foremost,
yes,
I think, and
yes,
then everything
exactly,
else. Yes.
exactly. But yes, we do have a few ideas in mind and we're working on them. When exactly would that happen? No idea. Nobody knows, I think. But
Yes.
November is set,
For the
hopefully,
exhibition. Yes.
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 And other little pop-ups. It wouldn't be a mass,
Mm.
it wouldn't be as big as
Hmm.
the annual
Of course.
exhibition, but every little
Mm.
presence, I think, would be nice.
Here and there, of course, would be
Yes,
very nice.
yes, yes.
There's a question I ask everyone, and some people I think are very annoyed with me because they find it a difficult question. But how do you rest? What is your time? How do you find time to rest and recuperate and go back to not an easy feat that art is?
That is a very difficult question. Sleep is very
Mm.
important, I think. Self-care to a
Mm.
certain extent. Running a business from home does have its advantages, but it's also challenging because
Mm.
of the time. I'm a mum and I have two children at home, so they
Mm.
do take a lot of my time.
And especially now with online school.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So it's a full house,
Yes.
and it's very difficult sometimes to find time to get things done,
Mm.
or fully, at least. Um,
Is there a thing that is diagonally different from art that you enjoy and perhaps brings you some rest?
You know, you asked me the question and immediately thought that my work does give me that kind of rest in a way because I dive into something that I really enjoy doing.
That's beautiful. Not many people can say
No,
that.
that's why I keep saying
I'm
that I
sure
feel I'm
you
very
are very
blessed.
aware of it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Reading again does, you know, it takes your mind to a different place. Again, coming back to appreciating the creatives, you know, reading books, living in someone else's story. I find that very inspiring.
I know that given how much of your work started from traveling, and traveling is now very difficult, uh, but I'm guessing traveling as well brings you a lot of ideas, a lot of
Yes,
motivation, a lot of joy.
yes, it does.
I was just recently reading about so many different exhibitions, large exhibitions being planned around the world. And it really, you know, you feel like, oh, I'm missing on so much.
Yeah,
It will come eventually,
yes,
obviously.
yes,
But these things also, I think, fill our soul and our batteries as well. And
yes,
it is remarkable. And I truly believe that you can find that rest and recuperation within work as well, like you
yes,
have mentioned.
yes.
It's beautiful that you have so much gratitude for it. I'd like to ask you for something that again might seem mundane, but it's actually very, very important for a lot of people who just need a little push
Hmm.
to choose art as a calling. We have a lot of artists we work with who actually are call themselves part-time artists or complain that they have daily jobs that, you know, take their soul, but it's a way of living. But
Hmm.
they're kind of on the verge of becoming full-time artists or dealing with art or art
Hmm.
managers or whatever is in the field. Do you have any words of encouragement or a little tip or trick that you would like to share with those who might be seeking similar calling?
I think maybe listening to the heart a little bit more.
Mm,
A lot of us have, you know, a very strong sense of maybe responsibility, and quite
mm,
rightly so. You know, life is not easy, and we're not all blessed with finding the right path. But listening to what brings you joy,
mm,
and not thinking, oh, this could be my hobby, but
mm,
think about how that could materialize into something that's more long term and more sustainable. Um, Something that makes you happy, something that gives you joy.
yeah, something that is true to yourself, I
Yes,
guess, as
and
well.
dedicating, giving that the right amount of time,
Mm,
because we all deserve a little break sometimes. You know, it's not, we can't, we're not machines. We have to
mm,
soften a little bit. We have
yes.
to express a bit more.
I'd like us to mention once again for those who don't know that Dar.nur.art can be found online. You have a website.
Yep,
You are active on Instagram.
that's
Any
right.
other outlets that are digital and online besides
No, our
these?
main ones are
Mm.
the website is the gallery. Everything
Mm-hmm.
that we have is listed on there. Um, our Instagram page is more of a creative
Mm-hmm.
display of what
Mm-hmm.
we have. And it's a great way to keep in touch with our clients as well. So that's an easy way to reach us if anyone's interested.
Of course, and it would be good to see these pop-ups if they happen. Of course, our minds and hearts are set on November and the exhibition, which might be again at the same place.
I
Or
hope so. Yes,
all
I'm
right,
very
okay,
happy with
so that should
Sadhu
be
House.
Sadhu
Yeah.
House. Then we already know that this is something we can put in our calendars at least for the
Yes.
time being. This was really wonderful. You have filled our
Thank
souls
you.
with art
Oh, thank you.
and a true story of a path that seems to be very straightforward in dedication, but
Hmm.
also filled with differences and richness and variety of artists and artistic offer, and very true to its existence. I love that. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Noor,
Thank you
for
for
today.
having me. Thank you. It was lovely.
You're very
Thank you.
welcome, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.